For much of the post-war era, Russia has been the dominant supplier of oil and gas to Europe. However, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Europe drastically reduced its reliance on Russian energy. By 2024, Russian pipeline gas accounted for just 18% of the EU's total imports, a sharp decline from 74% in 2000. Despite this shift, recent reports suggest that both the Trump administration and certain European officials are contemplating reintroducing Russian gas as part of a broader Ukraine peace deal. This video explores why Europe might or might not restart Russian gas imports and how Trump's future energy policy could play a critical role in this decision. Why Europe may not restart Russian gas imports. At present, it seems unlikely that Europe will revive its energy trade with Russia for several key reasons. 1. Security concerns. One of the main reasons why Europe has moved away from Russian energy is security. Many European nations still perceive Russia as a significant threat. Reintroducing Russian gas into the European market could undermine energy security by giving the Kremlin more leverage. If geopolitical tensions were to escalate again, Russia could weaponize its energy supplies by cutting off gas, triggering another energy crisis. 2. Diversification and long-term commitments. Over the past few years, Europe has made considerable progress in diversifying its energy sources. The EU has committed to completely phasing out Russian energy by 2027, investing heavily in energy efficiency and renewable energy sources. While current gas demand remains high, Europe's reliance on natural gas is expected to decline significantly by 2030. With alternative energy supplies already in place, there is little incentive for the EU to reintroduce Russian gas into its energy mix. 3. Alternative energy from the US. Another critical factor is the growing role of the US in supplying energy to Europe. Former President Donald Trump has made it clear that he wants Europe to increase its imports of American liquefied natural gas, LNG. The US has already signed several agreements to expand LNG exports to Europe. While American LNG is currently more expensive, research from Aurora Energy Research indicates that an increase in US LNG exports could lower European gas prices by up to 9% by the end of the decade. By maintaining its commitment to US LNG, Europe can ensure long-term energy stability without depending on Russia. Contradictions in Trump's energy policy. Trump's energy policy presents two major contradictions that could complicate Europe's decision-making. 1. Domestic energy prices. If the US prioritizes exporting LNG to Europe, domestic energy prices in America could rise. Trump has positioned himself as a leader who wants to keep domestic energy prices low, which could conflict with his push to export more LNG. 2. Sanctions on Russia. Another contradiction lies in Trump's stance on Russia. On one hand, he has expressed interest in lifting economic sanctions on Russia, which could lead to an increase in Russian LNG exports. However, this would directly compete with American LNG exports to Europe, driving down US gas sales and potentially raising domestic energy prices. This conflict within Trump's policy could influence how Europe approaches its energy needs in the coming years. Why Europe might restart Russian gas imports. While there are strong reasons against restarting Russian gas imports, some factors suggest that Europe might reconsider its stance. 1. Energy as a bargaining chip for peace. Some European officials argue that resuming trade with Russia could serve as leverage in securing a more lasting peace agreement in Ukraine. A report from the Financial Times in January indicated that officials from Hungary and Germany believe restarting Russian gas imports could incentivize Russia to uphold a peace deal, helping to stabilize Europe's energy market in the process. 2. Ineffectiveness of sanctions. Europe's energy sanctions on Russia have not been entirely successful. While they have made it harder for Russia to export oil and gas, the disruptions in global energy trade have also pushed prices up. Even with discounts, Russia has continued to generate significant revenue from its hydrocarbon exports. Some experts believe lifting sanctions could actually reduce Russia's overall earnings from energy exports while helping stabilize global markets. Moreover, Europe is still indirectly purchasing Russian energy. In 2024, a record amount of Russian LNG was exported to Europe, and when combining LNG and pipeline gas, Russian exports to Europe increased by 20% year-on-year. Additionally, gas imports through the Turk Stream pipeline, Russia's last active pipeline to Europe via the Black Sea, have reached record highs. This means that despite sanctions, Europe continues to consume nearly half of Russia's annual gas production. 3. Europe's immediate gas needs. Although European gas demand is expected to decline in the long term, current demand remains high. European gas prices, while lower than in 2022, are still above pre-war levels and reached a two-year high in February 2024. Several factors have contributed to this situation. Gas transit from Russia via Ukraine stopped at the beginning of the year. Reduced wind and solar output in November led to an 80% increase in gas consumption compared to the same period in 2023. A return to average winter conditions after two unusually mild winters has increased the need for household heating, depleting natural gas reserves more quickly than expected. The high energy prices have also impacted European industry, leading to inflation and production slowdowns in key energy-intensive sectors. Many factories have been forced to shut down or lay off workers due to rising operational costs. Bloomberg reports that some European industry leaders, particularly in Germany, are advocating for the return of cheaper Russian gas to ease economic pressures. Challenges of restarting Russia gas imports. Even if Europe were to consider restarting Russian gas imports, there would be significant obstacles. The political optics of such a move would be problematic, given the ongoing tensions with Russia. Additionally, re-establishing Russian gas flows is not as simple as turning the supply back on. Major European energy companies like Germany's Uniper ECA and Austria's OMVAG have already terminated their contracts with Gazprom. Renegotiating these contracts now would likely result in less favorable terms for Europe. Conclusion. The question of whether Europe will restart Russian gas imports remains complex. While Europe has made significant progress in reducing its dependence on Russian energy, economic pressures and geopolitical considerations could lead some nations to reconsider. However, given security concerns, long-term diversification efforts, and the availability of USLNG, it is unlikely that Europe will fully reintegrate Russian gas into its energy mix in the near future. The ultimate decision will depend on evolving geopolitical developments, economic pressures, and the future of Trump's energy policies. Russian gas as part of a broader Ukraine peace deal. This video explores why Europe might or might not restart Russian gas imports and how Trump's future energy policy could play a critical role in this decision. Why Europe may not restart Russian gas imports. At present, it seems unlikely that Europe will revive its energy trade with Russia for several key reasons. 1. Security concerns. One of the main reasons why Europe has moved away from Russian energy is security. Many European nations still perceive Russia as a significant threat. Reintroducing Russian gas into the European market could undermine energy security by giving the Kremlin more leverage. If geopolitical tensions were to escalate again, Russia could weaponize its energy supplies by cutting off gas, triggering another energy crisis. 2. Diversification and long-term commitments.